How do you grow your channel in 2018 in the wake of YouTube demonetization? I'm Alex Ansary. It is January 22nd in the year 2018. You know, I like positive thinking. In fact, recently I made a video on this channel entitled, How to Remain Positive When Waking Up to Reality. And so even though I cover topics that are considered controversial, I still see the positive side to things. For example, there's a lot of people that cry censorship when really there's a lot of information that's out there that's available. It's just that it's not promoted, and some of our channels, our social media pages, are being buried by the new algorithms that we're seeing out of Facebook, that we're seeing out of YouTube. So I want to address this topic that is something that I'm struggling with, others are struggling with. Those smaller channels that are hurting from the new YouTube policies. Not to mention the new channels or people that want to monetize the new rules that are in effect this year in 2018 for new YouTubers is that you have to have over 1,000 subscribers to be able to monetize your channel. A little bit of personal history. My channel started in 2006. It wasn't monetized until 2014. I never really earned more than a few hundred a month. Never above 700. And then, but in the last year, in the above $100 range. A major collapse in income from last winter, between the 500 and 600 range. So the last few years it's been instrumental, and I'm hoping to see things improve. But we need to talk about the reality of the situation if our channels are to grow. Certain topics I would say are blacklisted. I wouldn't even want to use those words at this moment. But if you watch my most recent video, and then you take a look at what I was talking about towards the end, and then you take a look at the content in some of the other videos, the geopolitical commentary, and how I think things are going to be developing. Now notice how certain fringe conspiracy views and extremist ideologies are promoted for some reason by these social media algorithms, be it Facebook or be it YouTube. So I think there's more going on behind the scenes. But see how an independent news broadcast, not the mainstream media, right? And I'm not using profanity, and I'm not putting in questionable content. I'm not showing war footage. In fact, I'm not even covering news in the Middle East or casualties dead, because all those topics are flagged as well. So, you know, I'm trying to be as safe as possible, but I'm basically being critical of a U.S.-Chinese drill off the coast of Oregon. And I reference past videos that I've done where there's certain geopolitical forecasts that are a little bit on the frightening side, perhaps, but we need to look at it. We need to look at things like what certain people have prophesized, or the dreams that some people have had. We look at the direction our country's going. So that's as far as I want to go with that. Shouldn't an independent YouTuber who's not even pushing a political message be able to express their own concerns in the future? Why should the History Channel, why should the mainstream media, programs like Doomsday Preppers, things of that nature, have a monopoly, though, on particular topics? Oh, it's safe if it's coming out of Forbes magazine. Safe if it's coming from the mainstream media, as they talk about being prepared for a fallout situation. These are common topics. And yet the most common topics that relate to threats, survival, real world events, current affairs, right? All put into this box of controversial, and they go out before the world and say, okay, we'll start promoting more authoritative sources, mainstream media, while burying everybody else because of the mistakes that they made. So I think that someone can grow, right, in the future, applying some of the techniques and tactics that they're learning from some of these YouTube channels. But what they're not telling you, because it's not particularly an interest of those YouTubers, And that's just being fair to the topic and to them, right? They have more of a demographic, I believe, of gaming YouTubers. So they're providing tips on growing your YouTube channel, and what a wonderful, brave new YouTube world is coming of age, and YouTube TV and YouTube Red, which, by the way, content creators like myself, you know, from the videos that are watched, if someone has YouTube Red and they're just watching one channel, that content creator still gets a slice of that YouTube revenue per the time allocated that they're watching a particular channel. For those that don't know, I believe that the content creator gets 60%. YouTube takes 40%. So they're already taking a pretty fair chunk. But when you have all these videos that are demonetized, that somebody may have spent hours and hours and hours to work on. In the case of my own situation, you know, just to give an estimate, maybe hours of thinking about, okay, or today's a particular topic, but sitting down and preparing the script, or, you know, let's say, for example, gathering the news, that's 1 hour. And then, of course, going over that information and reading that and sharing that with you, that's another hour. And then we look at, you know, editing time and putting stuff in the right, that's 2 hours right there. And, of course, using the power from the sun. So downsizing on an electric bill. That does bring a little bit of fun into it, even though there's work involved. And I want to expand what it is that I started. We're going to be talking about that in this video as well, looking in the direction of Steemit and Dtube. So I don't want to stop what I'm doing, but I'm talking about the man hours that go to something and why it is something that feels like an abusive relationship with YouTube. Where, for example, yesterday's video, they demonetized it without the ability for a human being to come in and review it. I couldn't even ask a human being from YouTube because they have some sort of an AI built-in system, whoever it was, whatever it is, to step in and go, no, Alex Ansary isn't going to have a human being review that video. It's just going to be demonetized just like that because of the subject matter that he chose to delve into. You think about all the man hours, even though it was a Hollywood production, and none of these are, but it still requires time, energy, focus, passion to put it all together. It's not just hitting record. There's research involved, there's editing certain things, there's getting certain clips, and then there's the time to compress the video after you've edited, and that's about 2 hours. About 2 hours to compress the video. I'm not really using supercomputers, folks. I'm using a computer I bought new. The warranty's now expired, so I don't know how much time it has left. From a big box store for about $330. It's in its second year. Using technology that other people can access. I am not using professional grade equipment or gear. I'm just doing what I can with what I have to work with on literally a shoestring budget. So all in all, you add in all the hours that went into one particular video. If we're going to add in compression time, and if we're going to add in, because there's 2 compression cycles, there's making the file size, which is like 6.5 gigs, and then compressing it. Then from there, it's uploading it, and instead of me having a Starbucks next door, where there is high-speed, free high-speed, where you can walk in, uploading that size video would be about 5 minutes at a high-speed Starbucks. Here off the grid, and especially on a day recently when it was snowing at the moment I was uploading that video. 2.5 hours for that particular video. And why would I do that instead of just talk over an image? I want to improve the quality of the videos. Because I think that's a better strategy long term, right? Instead of 100 videos speaking some script that's not even mine over an image. And that may work for some people, right? And we do need to cover the news. But I'm going to do what I can within my ability to improve things. That requires hours and hours. It requires planning ahead. It requires determination. It requires perseverance. So actually, I'm going to talk about diversifying, I guess, if you will. We talk about the energy of currency of actual putting out content as currency, as value, as what I value, as what it is that I do, as what it is that I'm focused on. But focused on it from a different perspective as perhaps other people. And sometimes it takes a while for the technology to catch up, like the proper microphone stands and microphones and cameras and software and things of that nature. And websites and particular social media programs and particular ways of monetizing your content. And content is not just video. It's written, it's podcasts, it's things that people are consuming. So the selling point that people are making with regards to Steemit, for example, is that it's blockchain technology, not to be confused with Bitcoin. Okay, it's connected with something called Dtube. And Dtube is something that has been very fruitful for some people that have joined that particular medium. You know, I've kind of stepped back and given it a little bit of time, observation, if you will, you know, before jumping in, because, you know, I want to hear positive feedback from people that are involved first. I remember making videos last year saying that, you know, I think that there are people out there that will create a website for their own agenda, for their own benefit, and even if it has good intentions, certain websites need certain things or certain levels of organization or planning for it to be economically fruitful for the particular user, for it to really take off. So there's different things that have come out there that have reported to help people make an income, and there's SU, TSU, and that is something that I believe I was using a few years ago and never got really involved with that. You know, but a lot of these things are based on the upvoting and the liking and the sharing and the watching of a particular content, more so with Steemit. And so, you know, this whole thing with YouTube, and even though things are looking positive for those willing to get on board the new Orwellian program, and I would say people that are intelligent enough to figure it out, you know, to realize that, you know, they may have a future on YouTube if they're able to conform their speech and identify, because it's not like YouTube is sending us the transcript from what their bots read and what their bots were alerted to. Alex Ansary, at 43 minutes and 11 seconds, you said, I think this is all coming down to a stage-managed blankety-blank scenario in or around 2025. Now, see, nothing's doing that. But what I do have is a history of several years worth of videos. And whenever I start saying stuff like that, whenever I start talking about, you know, what I perceive to be future threats to this country coming from, and I'm going to touch on that lightly. But I can see the patterns now. Now I've read, and you can read between the lines on this for yourself, articles about China influencing Hollywood and China influencing CNN. And I believe either Google and or YouTube went to China recently on a trip. And this is all as the major fake news investigations were going on with the Senate. Do you remember how the Me Too campaign also came out after that? And it's not me being a fan of anyone, but kind of noting this in for the first time on this channel. So Franklin was asking, and I would say there were softball questions, but he was asking questions regarding, you know, the interference in our society on social media to one of the tech giant heads. Notice how he was mentioned in one of the allegations of sexual misconduct, or he was all of a sudden on the radar, and one of the main politicians on the radar, allegations of sexual misconduct. So that's something that I found to be interesting. But I've been on this platform long enough to see that topics that were considered safe years ago are not safe now. But to see those things that were never safe, whether it be last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I want to alter my language and almost speak in code to you now without speaking about those specifics. We talked about particular drills involving foreign nation states. But always whenever it's in the context of them operating here, or an exercise domestically here. And, you know, I've been asking myself even more so because this is quite creepy. You know, you can put in certain safeguards on your channel if you don't want, for example, all black people being called the N-word or all white people being called a particular word. You can put in particular safeguards to moderate those comments. And I think that there is something to be said for people that are going to be responsible enough to keep some of that profanity and race baiting off their channel. So it seems that that same type of a system's been set up. Again, AI is scanning our words. Scanning our words. In fact, on the very videos in which they're providing tips on improving your ranking on YouTube, and providing tips like using TubeBuddy, the software program, which has the balls to ask for money for an upgraded version of using a keyword search engine software program that is embedded within YouTube that can help us, I would say, and probably some, especially myself. So I will adopt to the free and use the free version at some point, because it is important to use the proper wording. But yes, what was said was to match what you're saying in the videos you're coming out with the title and the description. And that's all cool and everything, and has a little bit more of a SEO friendly nature to it, but it's creepy, and it's been that way since the beginning of YouTube. Everything to be kind of monitored and scanned, and the first level of it was the copyrighted music. If you're using more than a certain amount of seconds of a music, a song, or maybe it's being picked up in the background. I filmed something outrageous in Las Vegas. I would call it a Illuminati pyramid worshipping light show. And I can't even share it with you in its original form as I heard it. I guess the VegasExperience.com is a website associated with that light show. Very similar to that light show, by the way, where they're doing the pyramid worship in London. Maybe that was what got my recent video flagged. But what they've been doing throughout this whole time is killing creativity, stifling creativity. It's like we're already talking about hot button topics, myself and others. Things that already have a certain level of alarm to them. And so we have to put in effort, people like myself, to not sound like some of the other fearmongers that are out there that almost seem like they're looking forward to World War III. I can name a few. I can name more than a few. I'm thinking of one in particular. I've mentioned him more than once. He looks like he's waiting for genius Donald Trump to push the red button, even if he did stage that whole thing in Hawaii. And it's just like, oh my God, facepalm. People really are saying these things. People really are saying these things. So earlier I was talking about speaking in code. So we've reached this point now where we start adopting our language. And it is like something out of 1984. And it is good to be positive. And it is good to talk about growing and yada, 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 yada. Right? And being positive. There's also a time to talk about what's going on without filtering one's language. It's one thing to say, okay, no swearing, no problem. You want to push it to the next level and demand that there be no yelling and flipping over the table? Fine. Conform to that one. Because they have built-in measures to detect someone free. Oh, that might not be monetizable. Oh, wait, maybe that is money. Oh, that's big money. Oh, yeah. That guy's having a personal meltdown over Obama. Never liked Obama. I'm not having a personal meltdown over Trump. Why are there people that have a meltdown about previous people and then sit there and get down on people that are having meltdown about the current? People are going to have emotions. Allow people to have an opinion. Okay. My personal thing is, how about let's not freak out about nothing at all? Not even what's going on with YouTube. Let's look for the solution. Let's stay calm. But let's not overly censor ourselves or stifle our creativity and what needs to be said along the way. Because when that happens, then it's time for another platform. Then it's time for another platform for people to be able to voice their opinion. So I certainly have identified what I believe to be one of my niche topics that is seemingly one of the more controversial topics that's out there. I've seen YouTube and Facebook promote the worst, and yet a bot wants to come in, right, in a creepy sort of manner, and this is days after somebody left a death threat. Sure, it was directed at me, but it was really directed at, like, most Americans, and it was from overseas or someone that obviously was aligned with the People's Liberation Army of China, simply because I'm reporting on something. And it's like, I understand the importance now than ever of continuing to discuss these things. But will it be done on this platform if this platform has been compromised? Obviously not. And I can talk about it, and I can use all the keywords and get myself flagged on the highest of levels that there is. It'll just bury the video and hurt the channel's SEO. So it was last February, and it was timely, that I allocated $200 to buy 50 hours at outsidethebox.vhx.tv. And so this particular on-demand platform is something just like the other websites that I set aside to have something additional to my main YouTube channel and my main website, Ansary.tv. So there's certain things that I think are better for there than the YouTube channel. There's obviously a number of topics that clearly are no longer safe for YouTube. And it's clearly one of the main areas of discussion for myself, going over the years since I've been hosting Outside the Box TV, which started out as a cable access TV show, with some of those videos performed there or that aired there being uploaded to YouTube. And seeing those very same things that I put out there as maybe things that will be deleted, or one could even say should be deleted, to save one's own channel. We don't know how deep this witch hunt is going to go. So they're literally going through all these channels with all these words that have been said in all these videos, and a certain amount of those videos being flagged could potentially trigger some bad stuff. We see what's happening to others. We've seen videos as innocent as, should I even repeat it? Sex bots. Criticism of the sex bots. I saw my own videos demonetized. I've seen other video or channels shut down. And in some cases, they restore it. So in some cases, there are cases of humans coming to review a channel or a Facebook page and then bringing it back to life. For example, the David Icke Facebook page was shut down several weeks ago. And then it was brought back to existence by a human. They have mentioned some changes to the Facebook newsfeed and have said that we're going to see more, excuse the coughing, and it is flu season, by the way, but I do think that I'm doing a lot better than others. We are having snow. We have seen some snow recently. It's been fairly dry in Colorado, but it's also very sunny today as well. So I'm not exactly in the coldest of temperatures for Colorado. So yeah, it is that time of year where people are, you know, as I said in a few videos back, looking at whatever it is that they do, whether it's involved in personal fitness, personal goals, business, things of that nature. It makes sense to evaluate one's business plan or life plan, because ultimately it's about what you're doing with your energy, which is your ultimate currency. So I want to bring it back to that point. Trailing off into different areas, just thinking about YouTube almost gives me a migraine. It's like I almost want to pop an ibuprofen and I never even take that stuff. But YouTube is still a great medium, and it's the #1 search engine just about. You type into something, it'll pop up on YouTube, and the idea is to use YouTube to benefit another platform that we're building. Whether someone sees it as a business or a website or a personal blog, to redirect. And YouTube for a long time has kind of, you know, suggested against that and to put in certain things in your description to be more SEO friendly. And that all works until the beast actually turns on you, or people that have access to YouTube on the inside start messing with you. And again, that's the stuff that those of us on the controversial end of things, especially if some of the stuff, if we're talking about it and it's actually accurate and not just BS, and we're actually hitting a nerve, if you will, there could be some blowback. You know, there could be some signs. There could be some things. And of course, there are glitches. And we live in a world where we don't even know whether something's a glitch or something was a message. You know, it was last year in which a number of weird things were happening within a few months, I would say, of the eclipse, which I think centered around August 21st in that year of 2017. And one thing that I remember is that all my channels overnight, or all my videos, went to private. You know, and I remember, like, I was really caught up in the moment, and unfortunately at that time my vehicle wasn't working, And I was making the mistake of having too many eggs, if you will, in one basket. You could still say that I've neglected to get involved in DTube soon enough. But that is something that I'm looking at now, in light of the things that have happened recently, in light of what is happening now, in light of yeah, you know, we should be positive about YouTube and reaching the world and it being used to promote a business. And then there's that dark, creepy side where videos can just be disappeared or demonetized without any ability to fight back or talk to anyone or get anyone other than a robot to review it. And it could be a video that you spent, again, giving an example of one. If we add in all the time, we're looking at 8 hours into a video that didn't make 1 penny. Or maybe it did make 50 cents before it was demonetized. You know, and it's one thing to work for minimum wage. It's one thing to work for less than minimum wage. And then it's one thing to go and then plummet from that point on. You know, we can be humble and work for less than a dishwasher per se, hour to hour when it comes to the videos that we're making. But when they pull that type of nonsense on a video that's actually in HD, you want to talk about like killing the incentive. And I'm trying to look at this for what it is to continue to grow my channel. But the negative thinking regarding us being oppressed by the man can stop people from even trying. And there are certain things that are out there that we're going to have to work against. Certain keywords and topics being flagged. And for some of us, if that is our... So someone can learn from what I'm going through. And they may not even be concerned about the same things. They may have their own thing. They may have like questionable topics. Or they can have a YouTube channel that is titled something that could be flagged as controversial. Now, in some cases, if you have enough viewers, right, that alone is advertiser friendly. That guy's money. Secular Talk, he's money. David Pacman, he's money. Alex Jones, that's money. You know, so-and-so, that's money. Next News Network, that's money. On one level, some of the advertisers are doing that. And some people, right, that put out some of this content on some of these channels, it's ridiculous. Not to discount all of it, right? But I think that some of the advertisers are just looking at, you know, a lot of views and not ruffling up the feathers, for example, of some of their business partners. So if you have multinational corporations which are influencing what is safe and what is not safe on YouTube, to bring this back down to mentioning nation states, that if I mention them and even say certain nation states together, for example, all of a sudden the videos are going to be flagged. Now, knowing about our trade deficit with China, and knowing about the current geopolitical tensions, and knowing about China's influence over Hollywood, and other things that if I talked about it again, the video would be flagged. Maybe even be disappeared and black-backed into the night, never to be seen again. Yeah, how is this not creepy? Not only is it creepy, in my eyes, it validates the very things that I think I'm warning you about that I believe are upon the horizon. It's like one of those signs like, do not talk about this. You have entered into the dangerous zone, Alex Ansary. Watch your mouth, says the robot, in a day and age where more people are receiving their news from robots. Even the mainstream media, the Oregonian, is owned by the Hearst Corporation. They're going to have a robot featured on their YouTube channel, reading to you some sort of a news. I mean, I can understand that from some of these fake news purveyors. I can understand that from some of these anonymous content creators that don't want to show their face or, you know, don't want their own voice to be heard by the machine. I can understand them using the robot. We are the robot. I can understand them doing the robot. But the mainstream media? Please, just stop. Stop with the robot reporters. Stop with the robot chefs. Stop with the robot prostitutes and whores. And please, please, don't send us in the direction of the robot hitmen and the robot super soldiers. Okay, bring on that king of all solar flares. Bring on that solar flare kill shot. before the robot soldiers are unleashed upon the world of tomorrow. You could say we're getting some exercise. We're getting some exercise being dominated by the robot. We're getting some exercise. We're getting some exercise indeed. We're having our voice analyzed indeed. We're having our facial recognition entered into the database via Facebook and YouTube indeed. So we're already in the brave new world. It's actually going to take me a few days. I'm going to work on wrapping up this video to get my Steemit account up and running. I want to let you know about that as soon as it manifests. I think I'm going to continue, to put out a few videos per week on YouTube, but diversify my energy, my personal energy and output portfolio, because that is the currency. It's what I'm creating. It's the information that I'm sharing. And if YouTube has bowed to particular interests and nation states because of the current economic situation and criticism of particular nation states' economic policies, foreign policies, concerns about future events, if I can't share that on YouTube, I'm not going to allow my creativity to be stifled. I will share it elsewhere. So the on-demand channel, to be fair to the audience that can't afford it, that is a place for those that can afford it, where I've chosen to put out particular content, and I will create particular content, even share certain things that I'm learning along the way that I don't want to put out for free, or at least not right away. There's certain things that I think should be premium content to generate income and build my own platform that later will be released on YouTube or on another free website. But we'll talk about this third option, and I'm thinking that I will potentially decide on Dtube. And I want to conclude on this realization that it does appear that Steemit and Dtube, and it is linked to a currency that people have to sign up to Coinbase anyway to cash out that money into US dollars, which is understandable. Someone doesn't have to be into Bitcoin to be involved in cryptocurrency of some kind. But it looks like this is something that's been around for at least a year or two. Some people are doing very well on it. I'm actually going to be calling the Steemit page OTBTV, by the way. It won't be Alex Ansary. So I'll be creating a lot of things under that icon. It might be more simpler for people to remember, especially in terms of a hashtag to be used on Twitter and elsewhere. A hashtag for the video series OTBTV. But yes, I look at 12 years now. 12 years on YouTube. And yes, the growth of videos, sometimes it's there. And I see a lot of support and feel a lot of positive energy from the audience. Especially recently, I want to make the note of saying that, because I've noted things that were less than positive, in the past. And times have improved quite a bit. And I think that our relationship, as long as we have an internet, should improve in how we engage, share content. And if you subscribe to somebody, by the way, hit the bell. You want to hit the bell on the YouTube channels that you watch. That way you're notified right away of new uploads without necessarily, having it recommended to you or being told. As I said in another video, we should be careful that we don't overly automate our reality, because they bury some of our voices in videos. If someone's waiting for YouTube and social media and Facebook to show them when someone posts something, they may not hear from that person or see their content in this new Orwellian reality for months. For months. One of the ways to get around that, to bring that up again on Facebook, because they are going to be limiting the reach of the news pages, is to post, and maybe not even per se to YouTube, because I heard Facebook is in competition with YouTube, but to make some mention of it and put it in the comment section. Or to make up your own meme. I haven't used GIMP yet, but I have downloaded GIMP. It's one of the software programs for using thumbnails. But we see already on Facebook people making their own memes. But creating your own image or picture, image and text with the information, and posting that. And in some cases, that's going to reach people more so than an article. And in some cases, maybe a link to your own blog, in some cases, may do better than certain mainstream media articles. So, you know, it's just a benefit to having your own website and promoting your own message, written, podcast, video, other, on those blogs that aren't already flagged, and then using those blogs and websites to promote our videos. So some of us are still on Facebook. And as Facebook steps back from the damage that it created for itself, there might be a bunch of energy returned to the private pages, personal pages. And so while somebody may be losing their reach as a business with those pages, personal pages, by adopting particular techniques, may be able to start reaching people again. You know, I've seen my reach just plummet. But with Facebook changing things back and then censoring on the other side, it can open up potentially more opportunity over here. So you see how complicated things are getting and moving in different directions. But I do kind of want to end this video here by saying that I do think that Dtube may be, now it's looking like it hasn't collapsed yet. The Steemit currency hasn't collapsed yet. Apparently it's doing really well. It seems that this may be the right time to get involved in something new. And Steemit and Dtube are linked together. Meanwhile, YouTube, right, is set to continue its path to world domination, but we're seeing new kinds of Orwellian censorship popping in that the optimistic content creators of YouTube aren't really helping us deal with, because their niche audience members are gamers. They're not people that cover issues that inform. And so we're going to have to learn to evolve with the times. And in doing so, it'll probably benefit it or us in the long run. And look at Steemit and what it's all about with regards to it functioning like a website, with people being able to post more than just a little bit of text, but actually write an article, embed a video, embed a podcast, you know, and string different levels of content together, very much like a WordPress site might, but it literally being on their site and reaching more eyeballs. You know, I'm looking at that as something that's going to motivate me to put out more written content for Ansary.tv. But for now, that's all we're going to get into. I will keep you updated on further developments going on with Google and YouTube and alternatives. And feel free to let me know down in the comment section what you think is a good, positive second alternative on a video sense to YouTube. Until next time, I'm Ansary, reminding you the path to the ultimate truth and place of power still lies within.